You're listening to Seek Travel Ride, a podcast sharing stories from people taking bike adventures all over the world. And this episode is sponsored by Old Man Mountain. They've just launched the Manzanita, their first ever handlebar cradle. And if handlebar bag faff has ever driven you crazy, you want to check this one out. Have a look at it at oldmanmountain.com. Now, on to today's episode.
I was so cold and wet. I was just gripping the pieces of the tent with my hands because I was like, if I let go of any piece of this tent, I will not see it again. It will blow away so fast. And so I'm like holding on to this tent, and I tried to like shelter it behind a bit of like dirt and grass and stuff, like the only lump I could find. That was no help. I had to pack the tent back up, like soaking wet. I'm cold, shelter in a bus shelter until I finally, everything was like booked out, and I finally found a bunkhouse that had room, and then, kept biking through the rain and wind to get there.
Welcome to Seek Travel Ride, where we share the stories and experiences of people taking amazing adventures by bike. Whether it's crossing state borders, mountain ranges, countries or continents, we want to share that spirit of adventuring on two wheels with our listeners. Hello listeners, it's your host Bella Malloy here, and if you've been listening to Seek Travel Ride for a while and you're a super fan, then today's guest is someone that you might actually recognise. Sheelagh Daley first joined me on the podcast about a year and a half ago, and at that point she'd had some fairly solid touring experiences under her belt. I'm stoked to say, since we last spoke with Sheelagh, she has continued to take bike adventures, and this episode is going to focus on a tour which she took last year, riding solo through Scotland. Scotland was somewhere where she had previously toured before, but this time Sheelagh wanted to be challenging herself by heading more off-road. So she plotted a route that would take her through the beautiful Highlands on some nice and, let's say, chunky gravel trails. Sometimes she'd be biking, sometimes she'd be hiking, and most days she'd have a lot of Highland sheep for company. In addition to the Highlands, Sheelagh also chose to take in another tour, this time on the Hebridean Way. And listeners, it's an awesome cycling route which links up the 10 islands of the Hebrides. As you'd expect with a country like Scotland, Sheelagh also experienced absolutely everything weather-wise. Rain, yep. Hail, yep. Warm sunshine? Surprisingly, yep. Oh, but did I mention the wind? You know, the type that blows an absolute hoolie and feels like it could blow you off your feet? Yeah, Sheelagh had a fair bit of that too. She wild camped extensively, stayed in hostels, she spent nights in Bothies, and had probably more hours than she would have liked sheltering from the wind and rain in bus shelters. Something which I really personally admire about Sheelagh is she's pretty open about living with anxiety, particularly around things like solo wild camping and riding off-road. And this adventure was about taking her on routes she dreamt about, regardless of having those anxious feelings. It was a personal challenge to ride solo. If it meant riding scared, she was prepared to do that, as she realised that waiting to be fearless maybe means that you end up missing out and never going on that adventure at all. That's something I can personally relate to quite a lot, and I know many of you who are tuning in can as well. I lived vicariously through Sheilagh's adventure at the time, holding out for those updates that would come through, and then I watched her awesome YouTube videos, more than once, which she made about that tour. She really is showing what it's like to learn by doing. Sheilagh's a great example of feeling the fear and choosing to do it anyway, and by sharing her experiences in this honest manner, I know she's making bike adventures feel that little bit more closer and accessible to many of us as well. Sheelagh Daley, you're an absolute dead set legend. I'm stoked to be chatting with you again. Welcome back to the show.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. That was very sweet to hear.
Oh, I'm stoked, Sheelagh, because I know we're going to have a lot of fun and a lot of laughs today. I've got a lot of questions, and I've already asked you my normal one, so I'm going to have to change tack today. And Sheelagh Daley, this time I want you to tell our listeners, can you remember the very first day of your very first bike adventure?
Yes, that was in Scotland as well, because that was where I did my first bike tour ever, which we chatted about last time, and that was when I cycled from Scotland to Croatia. And So I was lucky enough when I got there, I stayed with a couple warm showers hosts. It was a couple that I stayed with. They told me all about Bothies and the National Cycle Network. They gave me a bunch of information. And I was feeling anxious about the idea of camping. And so I thought, okay, why don't we find another warm showers host? We know this feels good. So I found a warm showers host just north of Edinburgh, which is where I was. And so I wrote to this man named Mark, and he said, yeah, why don't we actually, me and my friend will come meet you. And so he rode out to meet me. Or both of them did. So I rode with them, it was just so comforting to be in this new place all on my own, never having bike toured, never having traveled on my own. And these two lovely men riding out to meet me and ride with me. And actually, I have them to thank also for the bike tour I just did, because they were the ones that told me about the Hebridean Way and gave me so much confidence and basically ended up adopting me. So that whole tour, and this one as well, whenever I go back, I know that they always have my back, and that's been really, really lovely. And they were strangers that feel like family now. So
oh wow,
yeah.
On the pod, Sheelagh, I often talk about fast friendships that are made on bike adventures, and this is like an obvious example of that as well. And I love two things about that. I love that, you know, it was your first day and the universe gave you these awesome people to help you sort of settle in, and how they've also just continued to show you more adventures to get excited about and sort of helped you through that as well. I mean, you're doing your adventures, no one else is writing them for you, but in a way it's almost like you said, they've got your back. There is something really powerful about knowing that there is someone actually out there that you could like tap into and say, oh, you know, and that they've got some sort of, I don't know if I'd call it advice or mentoring or something, but that's so, so cool. I love it about the bike community, hey?
It's incredible. And I have met so many warm showers hosts in Scotland in particular, but you know, in many places in the world. But I'm still in touch with many of them because, yeah, you can build such a wonderful community and make such great connections, for sure.
Have you been in the position in Canada where you are to ever be able to host someone back?
Yeah, we have. We only have a small place, so we just have we only had a couch. But so we were able to host one gentleman who was passing through, but we just got a pull-out couch specifically for warm showers.
Oh my gosh, I love
We were
this.
like, we need to be able to host, so we need a better couch for this.
Yeah, it's such an awesome thing to be able to host someone and give back, isn't it?
Yeah, it means so much.
It's also one of those things, when you've been hosted as well, I think because you've had that experience and you know how much it has energized you on your own tour, being able to give that energy to someone else, it also, as the host, is really energizing too.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like whenever I finish a tour, I come back with just that extra passion and motivation for like, I just want to keep doing good things for people because you experience so much kindness out there and you just want to keep giving it back, you know?
I'm chatting to you while you're in Canada now, Sheelagh, and it's winter there. And something I noticed that you did, I think it might have been last winter, was you challenged yourself to keep riding outdoors in winter.
Yeah.
I want to know what that's actually like, because I can guarantee everyone around the world who's heard about Canadian winters will know that it means extreme temperatures and cold. And it's not, are you going to see snow? There will be snow, there will be ice. What's it actually like to ride through that?
It's mostly pretty enjoyable. Like the bike lanes, so long as they're plowed, which they're not always, but when they are plowed, they tend to be very quiet. And you just have to, I just suit up really well. I have a snowsuit that my mom got from in the 60s.
Oh, I love it.
I load up my snowsuit, double gloves, neck warmer, scarf, hat, just like the full kit. And it's just, for me, it's like the fastest, most enjoyable way to get around where I live.
Yep.
And cheapest, and good for the environment, and
it's ticking lots of boxes. Yeah, absolutely.
Lots of boxes, and it's that naturally built-in exercise for your day. You know, I don't have to worry about going to the gym or doing anything else. I get to just go to and from work, run my errands, and get my movement in. Yeah, I love it.
I think one of the things I've always told myself is, because I'm someone that I definitely find I'm just a better person when I've gone outside. And whether that's a walk or a ride, it doesn't really matter, or a hike, but I need outdoor time. Like, I'm not someone like, for example, I'm in Australia at the moment. We just went through like a mega heat wave. Like, even for Australian standards, it was ridiculous. Like, it was 43 degrees at its worst and consistently up around that, which was horrible. And I remember like talking to people, how did you cope with that? And I was like, oh yeah, we just had the aircon on and we stayed inside. And I'm like, no, like that drives me mental. But conversely, to head out into cold weather like that, where it does take you longer to actually get ready to go, like, how do you push yourself to go? That's the long way of asking you this question, because I feel like the hardest part isn't actually when you're out there in the elements. It's actually making the decision to do it in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably helped by the fact that if I look up on Google Maps how long it'll take me to transit versus bike versus getting an Uber or something, it's usually half the time of transit.
Oh, wow.
Way cheaper than getting an Uber or something. So I think it just becomes habit. Like, I know I have to get to work, or I know I have to run this errand. And I just give myself lots of time so that if it is rough and I need to push my bike or lock up my bike somewhere and hop a bus because like it's not safe for me to be on the road, then like I'll do that too. So I don't have any pride about it. If I can't ride, if it doesn't feel safe to ride, I don't. But if I can ride, it's pretty fun. And as long as I'm suited up, I don't feel the cold as much. So then it's even better than like waiting for a bus, you know?
What you were talking about there, you know how you've got your mum's old ski suit, like it's designed for that weather. It made me realise, I remember when I first moved to the Northern Hemisphere, and we moved in like the beginning of Feb, so it was pretty darn cold when we arrived in Ireland. Not Canadian cold, but, you know, damp and, you know, 0 degrees, which is pretty cold too, just a different type. And all of my proper clothes was arriving we'd boxed stuff over by freight, and I didn't have that much on me. And I realised that I have like a proper winter jacket that I wear for riding, and I just realised how much better it was than any sort of casual coat or something that I would have to walk. It was sort of like, if you've got the right gear and, you know, it stops the wind from cutting in through to you, and, you know, if it rains, it's a bit waterproof, it makes a big difference too.
Yeah.
While we're talking about cold, how can I not talk about the fact that you did just recently spend a bit of time working in a part of Canada that sees the polar bears come through Manitoba there? I want you to tell the listeners about that.
Yeah, sure. So, yeah, last October, November, for 6 weeks, I was in Churchill, Manitoba, which some people might refer to as the polar bear capital of the world. And it's because at this particular time of the year, this part of the Hudson Bay is the first place to freeze. And the bears want to get onto the ice because that's where they hunt. So they all kind of congregate in this area because the ice is going to freeze there first. Then they can get out onto the ice and start hunting. And so there's a town there called Churchill, where a friend of mine lives. And at that time of year especially, there's a lot of people coming to see the polar bears. And so they need a lot of workers there to help out with like the sudden influx. So yeah, I went in and worked there for 6 weeks to kind of save up for bike touring and see polar bears. Not a bad way to save up.
Is that the first time you've seen a polar bear?
It's not actually. So Churchill is known for polar bears, but in the summer, they actually get thousands and thousands of beluga whales in the bay.
Oh, wow.
And so my friend runs a paddleboarding company where you can kind of go out, and the belugas are actually very, in that particular bay, or river, they're very playful. And so they'll come and like swim by your board and boop your board, and they just kind of want to hang out with you and look at you and stuff.
They're not going to like launch underneath your board and launch you in the air.
No,
that would be what this anxious podcaster would be thinking.
No, they're just curious.
Yep.
Yeah, and they just swim underneath you and look at you. So yeah, I went up to visit her in the summer years ago, which is, I think, part of what got me like extra inspired about traveling more. This is before I had done any bike touring. And so I saw one polar bear then, but yeah, during the most common time to see them, where there's a lot more of them around, is in the fall.
So when you do see them somewhere like that, and sorry listeners, I've hijacked this. We're going to talk bikes heaps. Because, you know, we have obviously talked about people riding in areas where there's bears, whether that's in Europe or Canada or the US or stuff like that, and, you know, bear safety and whatnot. But I do know that polar bears are the bear that you don't really want to see if you're out and about in the outdoors, because they are definitely the most aggressive. They can be definitely very much an apex predator. What's it actually like to see one? And I'm not talking about from, like, the safety of a house or behind a window. Like, if you're outdoors and you see one. Like, did that happen? Like, were you outdoors and you saw them?
Yes. I mean, Churchill, like, the people that live there have lived with polar bears for their whole lives. So they take the safety very seriously and those interactions very seriously. So you're very much introduced to the precautions that you need to take. You know, you always try to be aware. And then they also have like conservation teams keeping the bears ideally out of the town proper, so that if you're going to see them, you're going out specifically with trained guides or in a vehicle that's going to keep you separate from the bears. You definitely want to see them in a safe environment with proper precautions and respect them, because it's important for the residents of Churchill and the polar bears that everyone interacts in a way that's best for bears and people.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell I've never seen a bear. So, you know, I've been watching docos of people in Svalbard, and actually, previous guest of the show, Jessie Brown. Hi, Jessie, you're a legend. She's she's over in Svalbard on a research project. So this is a part of, I think technically it belongs to Norway, but it's way, like it's a part that's dark, full-time dark. It's not seeing the sun again until the middle of February. Yeah, she was sort of showing, you know, what the reality is like there. And I've just thought, wow, I wonder what that would actually be like to just be in that environment. But, you know, it makes sense that there are precautions and stuff in place. I love that something you did mention sort of off the cuff there is your reasons to go there was to work quite a lot to save for bike touring.
Yeah.
Often that's a question listeners have, is how do people afford to take tours that might be longer than, you know, a long weekend or a week or two, and that require you to take a big chunk of time off from a workplace? And often the answer is, listeners, that people save up. Like, that's what you do, isn't it?
Yeah. I since that first bike tour, I took a break from work to go and do this big trip, and then I fell in love with bike touring. And then over the last, I guess, 6+ years, I've just kind of cobbled together income streams to fund bike touring. So sometimes that means things that I can do on the road in some capacity. Sometimes it's finding opportunities where I can work for a month or two really, really hard and save up to then take a month or two off. And then I've worked in a bike shop that was very kind at being flexible with the fact that I'd go off on an adventure for a bit and come back. So yeah, I've basically just tried to take jobs that'll either let me work on the road or that it's like a small contained time.
Yeah, and I guess it also comes with the experience of knowing that, I mean, listeners, you can adventure in many different ways and many different budgets, but you can often an adventure, you'll actually spend potentially a bit less money day to day, not talking about airfares and stuff if you've got to fly somewhere. But it can mean you're spending less day to day than you would be, you know, expenses at home as well, right?
Yeah. For like, I think, you know, I probably should be better at tracking it. I should probably start an Excel spreadsheet or something.
Oh gosh, don't.
Yeah, okay, great. Thank you. But yeah, I basically have like my numbers that I'm like, that's a danger zone, you need to save up more. And then I have my like, you have a bit of room, you can like travel on that kind of thing.
Yeah, and the thing that I love about your travel and the trip that we're going to talk about is like there were different types of accommodation that you used. Like, yeah, you were wild camping, sometimes you were in a bothy, sometimes you were staying in a hostel, sometimes you were like, you know what, this weather's grim, I just need to give myself a day here. And you allowed yourself that accommodation.
Yeah.
It's those little moments that you make for yourself as well, because I think it's important, listeners, something that I definitely take away from seeing other guests and seeing stuff like yours, Sheelagh, is these adventures, people's motivations to take them could be different. It could be to see something, it could be to meet new people, see a landscape, eat different food, challenge yourself. But I always think that down the heart of it, we also take it to have some fun. So you don't want it to just be 100% misery, right?
Yeah, totally. And I think there's also, like, I'll be passing through such wonderful communities, and I want to be a part of, you know, supporting that small cafe and that market stall. And although when I started out, I think I was very budget conscious about like, I want to save as much as possible. And now I also want to be a part of giving back to those communities by, you know, supporting those small businesses and helping them be there. So when the next bike tours come by, they can also stop into that coffee shop or that market or that artisan or whatever it might be, you know?
It's one awesome thing actually about people that take bike adventures is how much your adventure is keeping some places going as well. Like the economy that runs behind cycle tourism and stuff. Actually, when I think of it, just off the top of my head for Canada, I don't know if you've ever heard or checked out the Log Drivers Waltz.
No.
It's a route that's been put together by an awesome Canadian couple. In fact, I've interviewed one half of them, Jen. Absolutely awesome, amazing. Listeners, I'll put a link to the episode in the show notes so you can hear more about it. And it's, I could be getting this wrong and I'm so sorry if I do, but I think it is around the Ottawa region. I'm not sure.
Oh, okay.
It's all off-road, but when they put the route together, they wanted to create it to specifically go through places to bring people to them. And when they were designing it, they also then, when people were riding the route, would give people the cards out to give to those businesses to say, I am riding the Log Drivers Waltz and I'm here because of this and I'm so thankful. And so then those businesses and, you know, whatever they were, are then so thankful for the cycle tourism that it's brought there. And, you know, that's a great example of that because it's so true. And, you know, I think of things like the Hebridean Way, for example. And I imagine there's people who are walking or hiking it as well. And, you know, there's general tourists. But I imagine that the Hebridean Way cycle route has brought a lot of people there as well.
Yeah, like at least in my impression was most of the people that I met that were visiting in the bunkhouses or hostels I stayed in, it was almost all cyclists and some hikers and occasionally like camper vans, or like the camper vans would usually have somewhere to stay, or like sometimes people would be driving, but it really felt like there was a lot of people that were out there hiking or biking, and everyone that I met was enjoying the nature and the wildlife.
Listeners, this episode is brought to you by Old Man Mountain, and I'm excited to say they have just launched their first ever handlebar cradle. They've called it the Manzanita, and it was built in partnership with Salsa Cycles, carrying on the same DNA from Salsa's legendary Anything cradle. I personally have done the handlebar roll thing on bikepacking trips before, and honestly, I get so frustrated by it. It is like the biggest faff. Every time I do it, I've got like the tire between my legs, trying to make the bike not fall over, wishing that I had 3 hands and not 2, and it's such a struggle. Well, the Manzanita completely solves that. This bag hooks onto the cradle just like a jacket hooks onto a coat hook. The corners hook in and it's done, and you can do it all one-handed. The compression straps they've designed also thread through the stretch pockets so you're not blocking it off, and there are 6 accessory mounting points on the top. So if you want to plug in lights, your computer, your phone, a tracker, whatever, do it there and your bars are entirely clear, giving you lots of hand positions. There's 2 bag sizes, 9 litres and 11 litres. Check it out at oldmanmountain.com and support the brands that support this podcast. Yeah, something I've heard about the Hebridean Way is the cake stalls.
Cake stalls?
Yeah, or food or maybe or farm gate stalls or stuff like that, like at the farm gate little shops and stuff.
I didn't see too many of those, but I also have food allergies, so I might not have been, they might not have stood out to me.
Actually, food allergies is something that I recently interviewed Sarah Small, who I think was on the Hebridean Way around the same time that you were, but I don't know that you connected. Awesome, travelling with her viola da gamba on her bike. Brilliant.
So cool.
But we didn't discuss it in the episode, but we were swapping messages after recording, and she was talking how she's got a severe nut allergy and how food allergies is something she's got to be super hyper conscious about whenever she travels. Is that something that you're nodding your head there? Like that's something that you can totally relate to, I'm guessing.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, in terms of budget, it definitely, it's like you end up kind of like spending a little more and having to be a little more conscious for sure. But yeah, it also means that sometimes I feel like I get to find foods that I wouldn't otherwise because I'm just like looking for the things that I can eat.
Ooh.
And then I end up finding like fun stuff. So that's cool too.
Oh, I hate to put you on the spot because this is totally an on the spot, but as you're a listener of the show, I always have to mention food somehow. What's something randomly that you found because of your allergies, or what's some sort of unique food that you're going, you wouldn't have had otherwise?
Totally. What comes to mind is in Turkey, they have lots of great breads, but I can't have yeast.
Oh.
So I'm always looking for the like non-risen option if there is one. And they have this bread called yufka.
Ooh.
It's so good. And it's just like a flatbread, but it's so simple and fresh. And
I wonder if like yogurt's the rising agent or something like that maybe. Or it's totally flat.
yeah, it's just, well, it gets a bit of rise to it, but like not really rise, like sometimes there's like a bit of a puff to it. But what's actually quite hilarious is that, so we're looking and translating everything and trying to find stuff in the grocery store, and I find this like flat looking bread in the fridge section, and it's just like, it just looks like a flat, like almost like a like phyllo pastry or something, but yeah, just like this flat, like massive, almost like a folded blanket worth of this dough.
Wow.
So it's like, it's just this, big mess of dough. And it was so delicious. We ate everything with it. And I posted my YouTube videos of us being like, oh my God, this bread's so good. And so many Turkish people wrote in and they were like, you're supposed to cook it. That's kind of raw. And we were eating, like, I think it must have been slightly cooked because, like, it still tasted like bread, but it would, like, go bad after a couple days. And then, so many Turkish people were like, oh, I used to eat it like that when I was a kid, but, like, you're supposed to actually heat it after, like, once you buy it. Like, oh,
yeah, like a bikepacking hack, we'll just eat it as it is.
Just a whole month of eating slightly undercooked dough. But it was delicious.
I love that. That is so random. That's perfect. Sheelagh, I want to take you then to the whole genesis of going back to Scotland. As you mentioned, it was somewhere where you'd already been. And I think if I recall correctly from our previous recording, I think you've got like a family history of Scotland as well. Like you do have Scottish ancestry. So there's a connection there too that's a little bit deeper than just where you first rode. You're also someone whose partner enjoys bike touring, so you've taken many a tour with him in tow, but you wanted to challenge yourself and go back there solo. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so my first bike tour ever was solo. That's what made me fall in love with it and was so empowering and impactful. And then I met my partner. He found he loved bike touring, so we did lots of amazing travels together. And then last year, at the start of the year, we were trying to plan out our bike touring plans. And we were looking at a few options, but one of them that stands out was the Camino del Puma. It's a bikepacking.com route that's in Peru and Bolivia.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And it's at altitude, all or most of it, and like quite remote. And so off-road, these challenges that it definitely looked like the most challenging route I was ever gonna had done to that point. And because of Michael and Michael's my partner, our different work situations, it was looking like I was going to have more time to do this than he was. And because it was at altitude, we were going to need like a week or so to acclimatize. And the route says it takes 3 weeks, which for me is maybe 6, who knows, at my pace. So
I hear you, sister.
It's like, I know I'm going to need a lot of time for this. And so he was like, oh, why don't you go do a few weeks and then I'll join you for a week or two. And I realized that I felt so anxious about the idea of doing this route on my own, of like just bike touring on my own. And I felt myself trying to like modify the plan. I was like, maybe we could do it in less time so that I'm not doing it on my own. And I just kind of caught myself and I was like, what's going on there? Like you biked across Europe for 3.5 months on your own. You can do it. You know you love it. Like, what's going on? And I think like it had just been, it had been a few years. I'd kind of found this comfort with Michael where I find when I'm riding with somebody else, I'm just like that little bit more at ease. I don't feel like all the onus of the alertness is on me. I don't have to make every decision.
Yeah, there's safety in numbers aspect to it.
Yeah.
Something goes wrong, there's two of you to problem solve.
Yeah, exactly. And so I didn't want to sink into that anxiousness. I was like, if I modify this, further I get from that time where I did do it, the more I'm going to build in this sense that it's something scary, it felt like. And so I was like, I think it's important that I do something on my own to remind myself that I can and to just see how it feels. And so I felt like adding in the fact that I was feeling anxious about going solo, adding in at altitude, in a remote place, in an environment that I haven't been to, it all felt, I always think of myself as having almost like this scale of like fun and anxiousness or fear. And it's like, I just need to tip the scale so that like I'm a little bit more excited than I am afraid.
Yeah, you are right. It's that I've talked about it on the show before too many times. Like even the words we use in our heads, excitement and not fear. I'm excited. I'm not anxious, like those sort of things.
Yeah. And I found like when I thought about doing the Peru route, although I'm still very excited about doing that route, the fear was just too high. And I was like, I think what would be really helpful is to go work on some of those things I'm scared about, work on wild camping, work on going off-road, work on, being in tough weather conditions, doing all of that on my own, and then we can layer in going to Peru or wherever feels exciting. And so when I thought, where would I feel good working on those things, the thing that came to mind was Scotland. And at first I did that thing of like, you've already been to Scotland. Like, why would you go back to Scotland? And why? Because Scotland is amazing. That's reason number one.
Hell yeah. I went last year when you were there, and I can't wait to go back. And also, Scottish people are awesome. Hello, Scottish friends.
Awesome.
You know who you are. I love you.
Yeah, so awesome. And it just goes to show, like, even in a smaller country, there's so much to explore. Like, I went back, my first time in Scotland, I did 6 weeks in Scotland. 5 or 6 weeks. And I went back and did just now another 6 weeks, totally different experience, totally different places. Like, anyway, so that was the genesis, is I was trying to overcome some of my bigger fears and challenges. And Scotland just felt like a really good place to do that.
Wow. Yeah. And when you were rattling off the things that you wanted to overcome, in my mind, I was thinking wild camping, tick, remote, or whatever, tick, off-roady, tick, like weather, tick, 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 extra double ticks.
Yeah.
Because the wind, Sheelagh, that I saw you come up against, I mean, that was, you felt the weather in many ways. And we'll get onto that, I'm sure. So I can see why it ticks a lot of boxes for you. Something that I do know that you did as well is once you knew that the Scotland trip was coming up, you also then sort of prepared yourself a little bit more for, you weren't sort of just going into an off-road route cold. And it's not to say you hadn't done any off-road stuff before, but you also tried to incorporate doing some rides in Canada that had you on, say, single track or dirt and stuff like that as well, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I tried getting out with some friends that are more experienced mountain bikers, going on some rides with them, learning some of those skills and techniques and kind of thing. Yeah, which I always think it's like any way that I can keep lowering those fears just lets me let that excitement take over. So whenever I notice something and I'm like, oh, that feels scary. You know, actually, this is something that I learned in like therapy years ago, and I still use it all the time, is like when something feels scary, it can be because you're looking at the top of the stairs and you're like, how do I get from here to that 13th stair up there? And it's because you can't. It's because you need to go one stair at a time. So when something feels really, really scary, I'm like, okay, what's the one stair that starts getting you there? So in this case, it was like, okay, so yeah, biking off-road in the middle of the mountains in Peru might be the top of that staircase, but riding with your friends on the trails nearby, that might be like the first stair, you know?
Yeah. Can I ask?
Yeah.
Reflecting back on what you did just do in Scotland, when you left Scotland, how many stairs away does Peru feel like to you now? Does it still feel 13 steps away, or does it feel like it's step 4 or 5 or step 10?
Oh, Bella.
Yeah.
I might be at the top of the stairs.
Yeah, wow, okay.
Or close. Let's say I'm a couple stairs off.
Wow.
Yeah.
How does that feel?
I hadn't thought of that. Thank you.
Yeah, how does that feel thinking about it now?
It feels really, really good. Yeah, that feels really
So you might be
exciting.
on stair 10 maybe, or 11, or maybe you're at 13.
Yeah.
Whereas I have seen your video, Sheelagh, and I mentioned it in the intro. And listeners, I'm going to put links to Sheilagh's awesome YouTube channel in the show notes as well. Something that you show is what it's actually like for you when you may be on stair 1 and you're looking at stair 13 right ahead of you on the trail. Like you are gripping the bike exactly how Bella Malloy grips the bike when the stupid fear comes in on the rough little downhill that a lot of people seem to enjoy. And I'm like, which part of the enjoyment bit got missing in my brain? Like, people do this to do this part, and I just want this part to not exist.
Yeah, I know.
But I've seen you on stair 1,
Yeah.
and now you're on, like, that's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah.
Hell freaking yeah. Virtual high five across the screen to you. That's brilliant.
Thank
I
you.
love that. What an awesome light bulb moment to have mid-show.
Yeah.
So, arriving in Scotland, you've got this plan to take the off-road routes, and I know that you went through the Highlands, through some pretty dreamy places. You know, we're talking Glencoe and stuff like that. Talk to me about planning a route through the Highlands and then actually, you know, perspective v reality.
Yeah. The Highlands. So I kind of did. So I went from Edinburgh through Glencoe out to Oban, which is on the west coast. I went north took a ferry from Oban out to the Outer Hebrides, which is the chain of islands along the west. I went up the Outer Hebrides and then back across through the Highlands and then back down to Edinburgh. So I did this kind of big loop. So the majority of my Highlands experience was towards the end of my trip.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
And gorgeous, some like very challenging, draining sections.
You had a nuts out hiker bike section. I remember you were sort of, you know, on your camera. It was on like the ultra zoom to show this is the road I've got to go up. And it's one of those where you're like, well, obviously you had many hiker bike sections by the look of your face. Initially, You're thinking, which one are you talking about? It looked crazy. Like it looked like was that actually is part of your route on a hiking trail?
So it was. I want to say, I could be wrong, and I welcome any Scots correcting me, but I think that particular section is called like the Devil's Pass or something.
Very aptly named.
Something very dramatic. It's entirely, I think at the time I knew, and now I've forgotten. It might have been an old hiking trail. But yeah, it was such intense, steep gradients that it was literally just like I'd hold like the handlebars against my shoulders. I would do a lunge. I would shove the bike forward, brake, step forward, do another lunge, just shoving it like one lunge at a time.
Yeah. And your wrists get really sore doing that too.
Wrists, everything.
Yeah.
Everything. And I was doing that for I swear like an hour. And that was the last stretch before I would basically be exiting the Highlands. And so, you're like, I also wanted to enjoy it because I was like, this is the end, like soak in this experience. And once I got over it and came down the climb a little bit, I found like this beautiful wild camp spot. So it was like kind of like the perfect end to my time in the Highlands. But yeah, there were some climbs like that were just exhausting.
What would go through my head at that point is, well, apart from words I will not say, which we all can assume what they are, because I have such anxiety over the downhill stuff, I would be anxious that I've got something like that on the other side to go down. Were you thinking stuff like that? And because I have recently done a route here in Australia, I've talked about it a few times in Jagungal, in the Jagungal Wilderness, which is that type of steep hiker bike going uphill, followed by equivalently steep hiker bike going downhill, which some people somehow have the skills to ride, but not me. So were you feeling my thoughts there?
Definitely. I feel like I want to knock on wood a little as I say this, but like, I feel like I've gotten more lucky than not that the up tends to be the thing I wouldn't want to go down. And I just happen to luck out that like, that you...
Because I've thought about, like, there have been times when I've thought about it. It's not just even like, oh, I'm totally committed to, well, yeah, that's too gnarly for me, I'm going to walk. That's fine. It's not the walking part. It's the walking a loaded bike part. Because that's a bit trickier. And, like, you do have to, sometimes you're walking it with the brakes on and you're walking really darn slow. But I'm committed to, well, if I have to take gear off my bike to get down and then go back up and bring the bike down, I'll have to do that as well. So you're nodding your head thinking you've thought this type of stuff before as well. Yeah,
and I think, like, the way, when it does come to the descents, I think I just keep listening to my intuition, because my logic with it is, if I am scared trying to bike, then I'm going to do the things that are going to get me hurt. Like, if I am scared trying to ride a terrain, then I'm going to brake, I'm going to do something weird that's going to cause an issue.
You're going to look at the rock you shouldn't hit and hit the rock.
Exactly,
all that type of stuff. Yeah.
So I tend to, like, just check in with myself and be like, okay, this feels doable. You have the skill level to do this. Do you want to bike this? Okay, we'll bike that. Oh, we're getting scared. This is a scary part. Okay, we're gonna walk it. So yeah, I just keep checking in with myself. And what I found by doing that is that, because sometimes I'll ride with like other people that it doesn't seem scary to them. So like, Sheelagh, just do it. You can do it. Just do it. But I find what really has helped me is being like, oh, this is too scary. We're going to walk this time. And then it's like you get to the next thing and it's like, maybe it's okay. And I've noticed that has progressed. Like, I can tell how much more I can ride that I couldn't, because I just kept like gently doing it, you know?
And sometimes, Sheelagh, that happens on that day too. Like, what you're riding at the end of the day is something you would have totally walked at the start of it. And, you know, I mentioned Jagungal there. I definitely, on day 2, was starting to ride stuff that would have like scared the crap out of me on day 1.
Totally.
And so I could see that progression as well.
Yeah.
I think my problem sometimes is there's too many weeks or months that bypass where I'm not doing the scary thing, and so the progression sort of seems to take the big leap backwards again. But anyway, this is your story, not my story, so we're going to start talking about you there. But what I want to say is I relate to that so much. I'm going to start using the staircase analogy, I think.
Yeah, I find it so helpful. Yeah.
Something else which you wanted to challenge yourself on was solo wild camping, and Scotland seems like a perfect place to try that because of the right to roam. You know that you're not going to meet people who are like really peeved off that you're doing something illegal or something like that. So big tick in the box there. What was your reality of wild camping like? And how much wild camping? You did a bit of wild camping on your earlier trip through Europe, but then obviously there was a gap again between doing it solo. So did you find you were coming back to wild camping feeling like you were at the bottom of the stairs again and had to look up to level 13? Or
You know, I feel like that first trip, I don't feel like I got very far up the stairs on the wild camping. I did wild camp, and I actually had some good experiences wild camping. And I was like, oh, this isn't as scary as I thought. This is okay. But I never got in enough of a groove with it, because I think there was always an alternative. Like it was like, oh, I'm gonna wild camp, but then I would find a campground or a warm showers host, or so I didn't wild camp, I think, as much as I've learned I need to build up that kind of like muscle and that confidence. So going back, that was like a big goal for me, because then also once I started wild camping with Michael, I felt a lot more at ease wild camping. And I think it's just like that, I guess that sense of like somebody else is also looking out for it, you know, looking out for like dangers or sounds or whatever it is. I feel quite comfortable wild camping with Michael. But then the idea of wild camping solo again almost felt like extra scary. So yeah, that was something I really wanted to build up. And just like you said, like I was like, it's legal. That's an element I don't have to worry about. And I remember the first night that I was planning to wild camp, like I knew there was nowhere else for me to stay. Like I absolutely was gonna have to wild camp that night. And I was quite anxious about it. And just as I the night when I had just come over this big climb, the night was starting to get there, which luckily in Scotland at that time of year doesn't come until like 10:30 or 11 o'clock at night.
Dreamy long days, right? Maybe not so dreamy when the sun's streaming through your tent at like 4 a.m. or something, but yeah.
But for somebody who's like trying to build up your confidence wild camping, it was like the fact that at 5 I didn't have to like panic about finding a spot. It was like, okay, that's an option, keep biking, we know we can come back to that. And so the night was kind of closing in, and I happened to see a couple other like wild campers like set up. And it was this nice like reassurance that it's like, oh yeah, like there's other people out here doing this. This isn't crazy. It's gonna be okay. And then yeah, I just kept doing it, and that muscle got stronger and stronger.
That's so mega. Like that's a real awesome thing to know about as well. And like, were there also things that you found that you like? Were there? How do I want to put it? Were there things that you did that helped allay your fears? Like even just things that you tell yourself. A lot of the time, it's the sounds you hear that put you on edge. And so do you find that it just sort of, you get used to the sounds? Or to give you an example, I know that a strategy I've been told about, that I've spoken about, that others use, is the idea that if someone sees a tent, they're always expecting that it's a man inside. So as a solo woman, it becomes a little bit less fearful potentially, because, you know, women do seem to have a bigger sort of fear around it if we're on our own.
Yeah.
It's just a fact. I'm not saying guys aren't scared, but in general, women are more scared of, you know, it's the whole man v bear argument really, isn't it? I've heard of people who put earplugs in so they don't hear the noises. I've not done that. But like, did you have like a sort of thing that to step yourself through those fears as well as you built your confidence up?
Totally. I mean, I did. I think maybe Claire Wyatt said it on your podcast. I definitely heard that her say that somebody had told her. Oh
yeah. I had told her. Yeah.
You told her.
Yeah, she had put a great reel together about it. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, you told her. Oh my gosh, look at you spreading the good word.
No. But someone told me, so it wasn't me thinking it. I'm just putting that out there.
No,
actually, who told me? Oh, Ange. Oh my gosh, Ange. I don't know your last name. I want to say it's Walker. I'm not sure. She's awesome. randonneur, Audax rider, cyclist, ultra cyclist. She put all points north together in Britain and I think lives in Sheffield, and I came across it from her. Anyway, go ahead.
You have such a good memory. That was so impressive. I forget everything. But yeah, I heard that and I was like, that's such a good point. Like so I think part of it is I do still always prefer that nobody like sees me setting up camp.
Totally.
Or like leaving the road. That's always something that I aim for. My very sweet partner, Michael, recorded him doing a crossword for like a half hour. And so he was just, he picked like an easy crossword because we often do crosswords together. And he just recorded himself. So he'd be like, a round fruit. I think that's apple. And like he just like recorded this whole crossword for me. So when I would go to sleep, I would put this like just one earbud in and just listen to him reciting the crossword.
Oh, wow.
And that was like so soothing that I would fall asleep. I never heard the whole crossword.
Is there a word that you really remember?
No, I don't remember any of it. I don't remember any of it. But I listened to it. I think he recorded 2 for me.
Michael, you're a legend.
Yeah. And so because for me, I don't like having earplugs in because I just think, for me, I'm like, if something bad does happen, whether it be the weather or an animal or something, for me, I do want to wake up to that. But I do need that extra help to fall asleep. So it's like I need like a little support to just drone out the tent flapping or the like whatever it is. It depends. So some nights I didn't need it, but those nights that I was like, oh, I feel myself getting a little anxious, I would just like put like the one quiet earbud in of Michael being like 14 down, and that would soothe me to sleep.
I love this as an idea. It also makes me want to do a crossword.
I think, honestly, maybe like if he hadn't done it, if I just got like my sister or a friend to just record themselves telling me about their day, I think it would also be great. Highly recommend.
I love that. It's so but whatever. And again, it's a technique that is going to put you back into like a calmer state of mind as well.
Yeah, just because like I want to be alert should something, like I want to be aware to my surroundings should that be needed. But I also want my nervous system to not be like, tent flapping. You're going to die,
Yeah. Something else that I came across with your videos there when you were in the Highlands and wild camping were like, there were times where you're looking for a spot and you were like, okay, that's cool. I've seen some other people that are wild camping, and that's putting you at ease as well because, you're not the only one out here that's doing it. Like, Again, it's that sort of thought of, I'm not doing something that can't be done and other people are around and stuff. There's also the flip side, and I remember this when you stayed in a Bothy, and we will talk about Bothy soon, where you were the first one there and it was an awesome place to stay, but you were also a little bit, do I want to be here? Like, okay, I'm going to allow myself to stay here, but I'm going to be here so if something happens I can just bolt out quickly and have an exit strategy and stuff. And then there were people who came and you were a little bit, oh, no, there's people. And then you were totally put at ease because there are other adventurers like you.
Yeah.
So what I wanted to highlight was both ends of the spectrum, how sometimes seeing other people doing what we're doing can give us a sense of ease. Sometimes it's that sense of, are you a stranger I can trust? And how you manage to talk your way through those situations as well. Yeah.
I think, and for anyone who's not familiar, Bothies are mountain...
Awesome.
Yeah, are awesome. They're just awesome. There's like mountain cottages that were originally for farm workers, I think.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. And we have a similar sort of system in our Aussie high country here, which I've accessed, and they're high country huts that were, the old grazers used them for shelter. Yep.
Yeah, and so they're free to stay. It's basically like if you can get to them, because they're in remote locations, then you're welcome to use them as long as you do so responsibly. And they're maintained by volunteers. And so my first trip to Scotland, I really wanted to stay in Bothies, but because I didn't have the bike or the skills to go off-road, I was all on pavement. So I was really excited to start to stay in Bothies this time. And I came across this Bothy, and I really wanted to stay in it because I think it's such a cool thing that Scotland has. And I stopped in, and this is something that I often do, like wherever I am, is I leave my bike loaded while I sit in that space for however, like in that space, or like whether it's a campground or a camp or a wild camp spot or a Bothy, I leave my bike loaded so that if I just don't feel good, then I can just get back on my bike and keep going. And so, yeah, I left my bike loaded and just kind of sat there. And it was more just that uncertainty of like, what if I have to spend the night here alone? Like, how is that going to feel in this, kind of echoey stone structure? Like, if somebody does come, who's going to come? How am I, like, the kind of unknown was like a little, just spikes my anxiety a little bit. But I just sat with it for a bit, and I was like, you know what? I do feel good enough. I want to stay here. I started like unpacking my things a little bit. And 2 different sets of cyclists came, and we spent the whole night having dinner and chatting and laughing. And it was like the perfect experience. And then the next day, actually 2 of them invited me to ride with them for the day. So I rode with them for a bit. Yeah, so it was a great experience. But yeah, I think with bike touring solo and with a partner or others as well, but maybe I just feel like a bit more so when you're solo, there's times where you sit in that uncertainty and that trying to decide what the right choice is.
Yep.
And so, yeah.
Yeah, it is. And I guess it's also just allowing yourself to, like, I think they're rational things that you're doing, and it's what's going to help you feel like you're still in control. Because I guess that's at an element of the fear, isn't it? It's where we're putting ourselves in a situation where we may not have control. Mm-hmm. We may not have certainty about what's going on there. There's a bit of uncertainty around, certain people who are turning up and stuff like that as well. It's funny, I was chatting about it with my husband the other day because, like I said, just recently we've done 2 adventures there since we've been back in Australia to the Jugungle Wilderness, and very much like what you're describing there, it's got huts that are like the Bothy systems. And it's all closed off to cars. Like, there's fire roads that you access, and also double tracks. I would call them hiking trails, hiker bike trails of hell, some of them. Anyway, but it also means there's no cars there. So in general, if you're going to be seeing anybody out there, they're typically going to be people that are hiking or people that are bikepacking, and they have put a fair level of effort to get to where you are. And I think that personally gives me a level of comfort, because definitely. You sort of know that the people that have bothered to come out all of this way, they're probably people that are, aligned to me. They're people that get stoked on adventures. Whereas I think if I'm camped, say, within a few hundred meters of a road, or somewhere where someone could, decide to go for fun and drink a few cans and get drunk and, have fun or something and access it, quite easily, then I'm more on edge. It's sort of like what I'm trying to say, that to me is like that point of control.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think also, though, on the flip side, going to places like these Bothies in the Highlands and stuff, you are more likely to meet awesome adventurers like you did. Like you there is that awesome part of doing this. It's not all this whole, it's all going to be on edge, because there is that beautiful element of like when you had in that Bothy 2 groups of bike travellers coming in all together, all three of you, all of you having a great chinwag for the rest of the night. Like, that's awesome too, right?
Yeah. And that's such a beautiful thing. The other time I stayed in a Bothy, I had a similar experience, like just other cool outdoorsy people that are just out to enjoy nature and sleep in a cool spot. So yeah, I think there are so many great adventurers, and I love when I get to meet them. And it's just kind of navigating that fear of the unknown, and also I think part of it is learning to trust that if for some reason, somebody came that made me feel uncomfortable, or if the ghost came, if That's what a lot of people warned me. They're like, you don't have to worry about people. You have to worry about the ghosts in the Bothies.
Oh, wow. Like they're haunted Bothies? Some of them are known as haunted Bothies?
I'm not sure. They might have just been joking.
Did you feel their presence? Maybe they were nice ghosts, though?
I think most ghosts. That's my theory.
You have to. They're all called Casper, aren't they? Casper the Friendly Ghost. Oh my gosh, Sheelagh, there'll be people who are really young and don't know who Casper the Friendly Ghost is, probably.
Oh.
Anyway.
Oh, no.
Hang on. Do you know who Casper the Friendly Ghost is? Oh, thank God. Okay.
No, definitely.
that would have not landed otherwise.
But no, just like building up that trust. And I think that's like one of those things I learned on my first bike tour and that I really liked to remind myself of, is that just to trust in myself that I will do what I need to keep myself safe and to make the decisions that need to be made in the moment.
Yeah.
But I totally agree. Like, you do meet so many people that are just out enjoying nature, and that's such a beautiful thing.
I want to talk about the stoke of being in the Highlands.
Yeah.
Like, what an energizing place.
Yeah.
And I think there was a part in one of your YouTube videos where you were on what felt like an endless climb. I think you were looking for a camp spot and there was nowhere flat, so you had to keep going. And the way to keep going was continually up and up and up and up. And you were like broken. And then 5 minutes later, you're like, oh my God, what is it? Like this view. And you were saying, well, what is it about bike touring where you can be like totally at the lowest moment for an hour, low energy, and then you get to the spot and you look at the view and you go, yeah, totally worth it.
It's so true. It's so true. Like that time was such a clear one that, yeah, it was like, you know, biking uphill for hours, pushing my bike, all the things, and you get up there and you look out and you're like, man, I'd do this again. That was a great choice. Or, yeah, a really hard day I had on the Outer Hebrides with just like rain and wind and pure exhaustion, and at the end of the night, like cozying into a warm, dry bed and being like, that was worth it. Let's do that again.
Yeah, absolutely. But I imagine that the Highlands, I know you would have had some weather there, but there is just an energizing scenery.
Gorgeous. Like, I feel like I could go, I could spend all my trips in Scotland. I love the Highlands. They're so beautiful. Yeah, I just feel very at home there. Yeah, truly.
Is there a place in particular that just gave you a big moment of awe? And it could be the Highlands or it could be on the Hebrides. Like one scene in particular, a landscape that you were in that you just were, wow, breathtaking.
I think two come to mind. There's one, when I was in the Highlands, there was this one stretch. So I connected with the Pictish Trail from bikepacking.com. So I planned to do the whole thing, but I ran out of time. So I connected like with it halfway. And there was this one stretch, and I wish I could remember the name. For anyone who's interested, a couple people in the comments below the Pictish Trail route on bikepacking.com had said like, oh yeah, this one stretch like blew my mind. And I'm not the best at keeping track of like where is where. But I got to this one stretch that I was like, I know for sure this is what they were talking about. Like, it just looked like something out of Lord of the Rings. But it was just, we were descending. This is when I was riding with the two people that I had met at the Bothy. And we were descending with just like mountains on either side and this crazy, like, I don't know if the wood was petrified, but like these, like, it was like a bog almost. So that was gorgeous, and I know people mentioned it in the Pictish Trail comments if anyone wants to know what that stretch was. And then another one that stood out to me was the Callanish stones on the Outer Hebrides. Those are the standing stones.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and like my whole life I've seen pictures of standing stones and been like, okay, like that looks cool, sure. There's stones, they're standing. That seems cool enough. But when I saw them in person, like my mind was blown. Like they are so big. The centerpiece one is like, I think at least 3 times my height.
Wow.
And there's, I think, like 100 of them in this one section. And there's a bunch of different ones. This is on the Isle of Lewis on the Outer Hebrides. But the one that's like the most prominent is this one section of just all of these standing stones that the night, like the sun was setting and I needed to find somewhere to camp. And I was like, I don't want to leave here. This is so cool.
Yeah.
So that was really incredible also.
Oh, mega. Absolutely mega. I want to talk about the Hebridean Way then.
Yeah, sure.
10 islands, I think, 2 ferries, a few causeways of riding. You've left the lofty heights of the Highlands behind, I imagine, when you're on the Hebrides Islands. I'm thinking it's not the steepest of riding out there.
Yeah, so the first stretch I did through Glencoe had some big climbs. I connected to like the West Highland Way, which is a hiking trail. And so that was a little rough, sections of it, because it's a hiking trail and I had my fully loaded bike. And the only 2 cyclists I saw on there were like very well equipped for it. Like they were very lightly packed,
gravel
suspension,
bikes or something, yeah.
Like they were ready to do it and I was not. But it was beautiful. That was still worth it.
And you did it.
I did it, exactly.
Hell yeah, sister.
Thank you. And so then I got out to the Outer Hebrides, which the Lower Hebrides are quite flat, but they make up for it in wind. So, so it's very windy. The idea, like most people recommend doing it south to north because that's like the prevailing wind.
Yep.
Sometimes that worked in my favor. Sometimes it didn't feel like it did. But yeah, just so much respect for the fact, you know, people have lived out there for generations and the weather can be really extreme. I got lots of rain, crazy winds, and yeah, people have been living out there for generations and that, yeah, really incredible. So the Outer Hebrides are really beautiful and kind of there's the Lower Hebrides. And then you make it up to the Isle of Harris and then the Isle of Lewis. And I loved all of it.
Yeah. Oh, it looks mega.
Yeah.
And we mentioned earlier in the show, like you did see lots of people hiking it. You saw lots of people riding there as well. The ferry systems in Scotland, full stop, are pretty well set up for people with bikes to hop on and hop off as well, right?
They are, yeah. The one thing somebody who lives on the Outer Hebrides said to me was they said the people of the Outer Hebrides have 2 masters, God and Calmac ferries. As Calmac ferries is like the ferry system that runs out there. So yeah, if a ferry goes down or has issue, like not down sinking, but like has an issue.
If it's scheduled to run and it can't,
exactly.
The wind's too high or something like that, and or they can't leave harbour. Yeah, absolutely, you're stuck.
Then it's tricky. But in terms of rolling bikes on, that was no problem at all. Yeah, the only thing I learned is that sometimes like the bikes you do have to book your bike, and the bikes can fill up sooner than people. So so booking ahead is good for that. But so that you take a ferry to get out there and back, and 2 along the way as well, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks mega. And I mean, I've had the ferry experience before as well in Scotland, and it is really cool. Like,
yeah.
And so often it is literally like rolling your bike on and there's like a big rope that you loop around it. That's it. And then
totally
rolling off,
yeah.
which is pretty cool. It's an awesome way to access fantastic areas. And again, you know, Scotland, I haven't done extensive riding there, but the places that I've ridden are just absolutely breathtaking.
Yeah.
On a nice day, and there's literally breathtaking weather there as well. You definitely, Sheelagh, experienced both ends of the spectrum. So you were in Scotland 2025 in May, and I was there at the same time, and it was like summer weather for Scotland. And I remember joking with my friend Alison and Isa that I was responsible for that because I had sent the weather ahead, but I don't think I saw a single cloud while I was there. It was just perfect weather. It was, 23, 24 degree. Like, it was warm for Scotland, right?
Yeah.
So you had the awesome weather maybe at the front of your trip.
Yeah, definitely.
And then
so
you had the other stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Oh, and challenging other stuff too. Like I said in my intro, like how many hours would you have sheltered in a bus shelter?
So many, yeah. Yeah, so at the start of last year, I wrote down that like 3 of my biggest like fears and challenges that I wanted to conquer that year was wild camping, off-road riding, and camping in like biking and camping more in like rain. Because I find rain is something
Bad
that
weather.
like inclement weather, and like I find with rain I can get very grumpy, and I find it hard to shake myself out of that. And so Scotland seems like a great place to work on all of those challenges.
Yeah, ticking all the boxes.
But so I got to Scotland and I house sat for 2 weeks. So I was there house sitting for 2 weeks, and then like a week or two getting over the Outer Hebrides with no rain. Like 4 weeks, which is crazy. I think
That's nuts. I know. It was like such a long run.
yeah, it was like I think it was one of their sunniest springs on record.
It is.
Yeah.
It was, yeah. No clouds.
So I got over to the Outer Hebrides, and like the first couple days had just wind, like as you can expect on islands, like off the coast. Like so there is a good
We're
amount
not talking
of wind.
a light breeze here though. Like when you're
No,
talking wind,
we
we're
are
talking like
talking
gale
wind.
forced.
Yeah. So it started off with just like some headwinds, some crosswinds, and that mysterious quality where you're going south and you have a headwind, and then you're going north and somehow you still have a headwind, and you're like, how did that happen?
Yeah. Someone needs to sacrifice their firstborn to the goddess of the wind for all of us.
So much. So that started, and then my hardest weather day was a day where for one, I was on my period, on like the bad day of my period. So my whole body was in agony. And normally like I would take it easy on like that really bad day, but because we'd had such nice weather and it was the last day that like the morning was gonna still be sunny, I was like, okay, just like get out there, try to get a bit of riding in. And also my phone cord had broken, and I needed to get a new phone cord. And that was the day that like I missed a shop to get my phone cord. The next one was closed. The next one I finally got a phone cord, but then when I tried to set up camp, like the wind was so bad that it was basically like blowing my tent flat.
Yeah. And there's not even the ability to like stake it out.
Exactly. And it was like so strong that I was so cold and wet, and like my hands, I was just gripping the pieces of the tent with my hands, because I was like, if I let go of any piece of this tent, I will not see it again. It will blow away so fast. And so I'm like holding on to this tent, and I tried to like shelter it behind a bit of like dirt and grass and stuff, like the only lump I could find. That was no help. I had to pack the tent back up, like soaking wet, I'm cold, shelter in a bus shelter until I finally, everything was like booked out. And I finally found a bunkhouse that had room, and then, kept biking through the rain and wind to get there.
And it wasn't just like 2 kilometers or something down the road either. Like I thought it was like... Was it like 30 or something?
It was, I think it was maybe around 15.
Yeah.
But this whole day was just like, I missed the one shop, so try to get to the next shop, and the next shop's closed. Okay, try to get to the next shop. And like my whole body is like aching. Like I just want to...
Yeah, like you're on your period too.
Exactly.
Menstruation cycles for women suck.
Yes.
Like, you know, or can suck, definitely. So, just even that element alone's enough.
Like everything was in agony from like the neck down, like my back, my legs. I had terrible cramps. Like it was a rough day. And then the next day or two also had crazy winds and rain, and I sat those out.
Good on you.
I stayed at the hostel. I was like,
Power to ya.
We're gonna have a little rest and then we'll keep going.
I like that you allowed yourself to be able to do that, and I'm guessing that's because you left your route open to a bit of flexibility. Like with anything, you've got to start. I've got 6 weeks to bike in Scotland.
Yeah.
But you were never sort of pre-booked every single day to be somewhere that where, you know, that goes out the window. Maybe with the ferries that might have been different. I don't know if you had a schedule with ferries and stuff that you had to keep to, but you just have to find that flexibility somehow, don't you?
Yeah. And I do, like, the thing I've learned is that I need that flexibility not only for my time, but like for my mind as well. And so I had to book the ferries ahead of time to make sure I could get my bike on them. But I gave myself enough wiggle room that I was like, not only, like, I have room for rest days, and worst case, if I needed, there's sections I could trim out if I needed to do it more directly. And luckily I was able to do the whole route I wanted to do. But yeah, I build in that wiggle room so that I don't stress too much.
Yeah, totally build in that flexibility so that, because it's something that, you know, things never go to plan. That's the thing. The misadventures happen. What's a misadventure that comes top of mind for you at the moment? If I was to ask you to tell me about the most unplanned thing. And I mean, look, having to camp it out in a bus shelter because the wind's blowing a hoolie and your tent's going to blow away, that's one thing. But I want you to tell me about, like, you know, my gosh, I didn't think today was going to turn out like this.
Oh, man. Well, that was a big unexpected day. The other big unexpected day I had was when I left that Bothy in the Highlands and I was riding with the two lovely riders I met. The road was really flooded. And so I fell into this like big puddle on the road.
Which is Scotland, so is it like really boggy and muddy as well?
Yeah. Like
Lovely.
Boggy, muddy, like, and it sounds silly when I say puddle, but yeah, you can picture the size of a puddle in Scotland. It's like a very rutted out, like the whole road it has become like a small pond. And so I fell, and I was fine. I picked my bag up. My bags looked fine. My bags looked fine. I was like, okay. And I was riding with these two lovely riders, and so I didn't want to fall behind. I wanted to like keep riding with them. They were so great. And so I'm riding along for hours. I was following them and having a lovely time. And then we stopped, and we hadn't had signal this whole time. So I didn't have signal for a couple days. And so we finally had signal, and I went to pull out my phone just to tell Michael that I was still alive. And I look in my handlebar bag, and my handlebar bag is soaked. And I'm like, how is it soaked? And I'm like digging through it, and like all my stuff is wet. Like my camera, my phone cord, and my passport. My lovely passport. So it was in like an Ortlieb handlebar bag, so like waterproof. I've never worried about it. But I think when I fell, either like the magnetic enclosure opened a bit or water seeped in the sides. I don't know. But a bunch of water got in. And my passport was in a bag inside my handlebar bag, but not a waterproof bag. And so my passport had been sitting in water for 4 or 5 hours, and my phone cord was also damaged. And they were biking to a train station, and so I was able to follow them out of the middle of the Highlands to get a new phone cord and figure out what to do about my passport. But yeah, that was an unexpected day. And my passport now lives in 2 to 3 Ziploc bags. So,
you only make that only happens once.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I had to take a train. So I took the train to Inverness to like get a new phone cord. Because at the time, I wasn't sure if it was my phone or my phone cord. I thought my phone might have been toast because my phone wouldn't turn on. But it ended up just being my phone cord, and I finished the trip, and then when I got back to Edinburgh, I had to take the train to London to get a new passport issued, because then Michael came over and we went to the Netherlands to bike in the Netherlands for a couple weeks. So it all got sorted, as you often say on the podcast, and as lots of people say, you figure it out. We all figure it out, but
you will find a way.
Yeah,
exactly. I want to do something which I haven't done with people before. But if I was to get you to describe your adventure in Scotland in like 3 words, and it could be about the country or it could be about your feelings or anything, what words would you choose? Or maybe it could be 3 phrases. I'm not going to be that much of a stickler with it. But yeah, like just what comes to mind straight away?
What always comes to me when I think of Scotland is wild. And I know people that are from Scotland, like I know a lot of people admire from the UK have told me what they love about Canada is how wild it is because, you know, we have sections that trees haven't been cut down. Like the UK doesn't have the same wildlife they once did. I mean, nowhere in the world does, but so maybe not everyone would describe it as wild, but it feels so wild to me. Scotland.
Yeah, I would say rugged, so which is sort of wild. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and just the fact that, and some people will say like, oh, it's not mountains, it's hills. I'm like, I don't know. You can use whatever, just you feel true, but like I think it's just wild, rugged. Like I just love it. And for the trip, I would say expansion. Like I feel like I grew a lot, and just lovely. Like it's just lovely. The people are lovely. The nature is lovely. I could talk about Scotland forever. And I could go back there again and again.
Yeah, and I think also like the idea that like the words you've used there, it just sort of ties in to me like with what you got through as well, expansion and stuff, like expanding your own self-confidence, your own self-assuredness, your own capabilities, you know, that's mega. What a gift to give to yourself. And all in a beautiful country with exactly like Scottish people. The Scots are just beautiful, beautiful people. Yeah. At least the ones I have met are. I'm sure there's probably some assholes there, but let's just look at the nice ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. What a great feeling to come back with, and to also, you know, go away, feel the fear, do it anyway, and feel like you've come away experiencing what you had wanted to experience. You know, there were times where in the moment did not feel emotionally so great, but you got through them all. And I think that's a big thing to be able to walk back on and reflect on for future trips, for future solo trips, whether, you know, maybe you're going to do a solo trip and you actually don't need Michael to tell you a crossword, or maybe you go, you know what, that crossword hack was great, but can you like get the clues better? You know, but I just love that was what you came away with. If someone wanted to plan to go to Scotland, what's a big tip that you would tell them in terms of their planning and stuff for their own trip?
Ooh. I think Scotland is I found it to be such a great place for anyone, but also for anyone who's new to bike touring. I actually, on the Outer Hebrides, I saw more solo female bike tourers.
Hell yay!
Yeah, than even male solo bike tours. And I talked to a bunch of women out there that was even their first tour. And I mean, for the Outer Hebrides, like the weather can be challenging, but you know, it's a planned route. You can get a GPX file. There's cyclists and hikers and other outdoorsy people everywhere. The fact that I feel like Scotland, a lot of people do enjoy the nature, so there are a lot of resources. You know, there's bunk houses, there's Bothies, there's the National Cycle Network, there's a whole bunch of different routes that have been designed on bikepacking.com and I'm sure other places as well. So there's so many resources. So like if anyone's feeling that anxiety, I think, and then also wild camping is legal. There's like the right to roam. That's a
massive
whole
tick.
other thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's just like, if anyone's feeling that anxiety, I think looking into some of those resources, warm showers hosts, like looking into those resources can, you know, alleviate hopefully some of that anxiety and amp up the excitement.
Yeah, and make it more accessible for yourself as well. I think that's brilliant. Oh my gosh, Sheelagh, you know how you could chat about Scotland for days. So could I, but I've got to wrap the show up. So I'm going to. I've got 3 quick questions.
Yeah.
The first one's music related. You're a 2-time guest of the pod, which means you get to pick another song, and it's going to be the soundtrack to your Scottish adventure. What song are you going to pick? And it goes on the Seek Travel Ride music playlist. Listeners, it's available on Spotify and Apple Music. What song are you going to pick?
You know what? I'm just going to say, I would say anything by Lewis Capaldi, because he's Scottish, keeps you in the zone, and he has so many passionate songs. I can't even pick one right now.
So I'm just going to pick the first one that comes up on my search, and you're down with it.
Yeah.
All right. Something from Lewis Capaldi. All right,
Okay.
There we go. I love it. You know, it sounds very apt for where you went, so perfect. Okay, next question. You're given a choice one day, Sheelagh. You can go left and you're going to be on the most rugged, washboard, bumpiest corrugated road of your life, or you can go right straight into that brutal Hebridean Way headwind. Which one are you going to take?
It's hard to believe, but I think I'm going to take the headwind.
Oh, Team Headwind. Did you come across washboard roads in Scotland, or they were just more rocky probably?
The only corrugated sections I've gone over have been like little construction zones.
Yeah.
And that on its own feels like my wrists are done. So hats off to everyone that has endured those for many kilometers. I'm going to keep taking the headwind until I have to try the corrugated.
Yeah. I guess someone I remember once told me that they would just take a day off. I thought that was quite a good answer. Oh, no. All right, Team Headwind, you're down. And the last one, Sheelagh, I want you to finish this sentence for me. And the sentence is, the best thing about taking a bike adventure is...
You can do it any way you want to do it.
Oh, I love it. There is no right or wrong way. It's all up to you, right? Choose your own adventure.
Yeah, and you can just keep finding new ways and different ways. Like, I feel like whenever I plan a bike tour, it's just like, how do I want to feel on this one? You know, do I want to feel more challenged? Do I want to have something more relaxing and just eat lots of snacks along the way? Like, what do I want? And you can just keep inventing new cool experiences for yourself.
Yeah, I'm totally choosing the eat more snacks along the way tour. You said that, my eyes lit up.
The snacks need to factor in regardless, for sure.
Oh, yeah. Even if it's half-baked bread. Oh, I love it. Oh, my gosh, Sheelagh, I knew when I woke up today and we had our session, I was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to have such a great time recording with you. And it has exceeded my expectations. It has expanded them for me as well. And I loved everything about your trip. I love the reasons of why you took it. I love the idea that you want to challenge yourself. You don't want to let anxiety stop you from doing the thing. Feel the fear and do it anyway. And that magic moment that you told me early into the show where you found that you're on that top level of the staircase. Oh my gosh, I just think that's such a mega gift to give yourself, to be able to do the things that scare you and come away from it realizing that actually I can do the things that scare me and they're not scary anymore. It also means like to open your eyes up to the possibilities of what routes you're going to take on next. I'm super excited to see that because I know that you live and breathe bike adventures. Something that I especially love about your channels and your content is it's all about getting other people to try it for themselves as well. And I know that people will be tuning into this, probably booking themselves into the Hebridean Way, maybe going on the Pictish Trail in the Highlands or hitting up some Warm Showers host for some route advice in Scotland, whichever. Maybe they're going to come and check out where you are there in Canada as well. But regardless, sharing stories in this manner about stuff like what you've done is making it a bike adventure more achievable for people. And I'm so thankful that you've let me share your story. Thank you so, so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks for being a legend and coming back on the show and sharing your experiences here on Seek Travel Ride.
Thanks for having me, Bella. It's lovely.
Listeners, that was such an awesome session that I had there with Sheelagh. I just absolutely loved so much of it because there's just a level where I really feel like, I don't know, I can see myself as Sheelagh sometimes. The way that she talks about what she's processing in her mind, what she's thought through, what the potential issues she might be facing are, what it's like to actually be facing them, and then also the other magic part of this very show to see her come out the other side with the confidence that she was hoping to get from these trips. It's funny thinking of this session with Sheelagh compared to even the first session that I had and seeing her growth through bike adventures since then too. And yeah, my gosh, has she made you want to go to Scotland as well? It's a mega place, and I hope that it has made it onto your bike adventure bucket list for sure. And I'm so excited to see what Sheelagh does next. I think that moment where she realised that she had overcome the fears, I could physically see it on the other side of my computer screen. She hadn't actually realised it herself yet. And so that, that light bulb moment going off in her mind in real time was just such a beautiful gift to see. And I think that's one of the greatest things about taking bike adventures. You don't need to have all the experience behind you. You don't need to have all the skills. Whatever you do, you actually will grow with that experience and take on new challenges, new things, and have some high moments there as well. Like Sheelagh, in the time, had some pretty grim times in Scotland too. She will tell you the wind nearly blew her off the road. Her tent nearly blew out of her hands. She would never see it again. She was soaked through. But she just reflects back on it as just such a great time, and she would totally sign up and do the whole thing all over again. And yeah, I don't think there's a more powerful message to share than that one there. Thanks so much, Sheelagh, for sharing the Stoke. Listeners, if you enjoy hearing me share stories of Stoke each and every week on this podcast, and you want to continue to see this podcast grow, you can show your appreciation for the show by buying me a coffee. Simply head to buymeacoffee.com/Seek Travel Ride. Buy me a few virtual coffees and let me know what is it that you love about Seek Travel Ride and where is your next adventure going to be taking you. And until the next episode, I'm Bella Malloy. Thanks for listening. That's the end of the episode, listeners, and one more mention for Old Man Mountain and their new Manzanita handlebar cradle. If, like me, you've had the frustration of having to try and attach a handlebar roll onto your handlebars, the Manzanita was made for you. It's ridiculously simple to mount. Head to oldmanmountain.com and find out more.